Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started. Okay, welcome back to Managing Dental Drama, Dad. I'm excited to have you back. I've been having these lingering questions from Dr. Luce. I'll have to go back and look, but we did a couple episodes of her questions several months ago, and she had so many good ones left.
She did.
And we didn't get to them, so I just had to steal some time to get to these last few questions. Because it's been so long, I couldn't find her lovely little voice memo where she read these questions, so I'm just going to have to read them on her behalf. So,
and understand she's getting ready to open her new office.
Yes.
So congratulations, Doc.
Congratulations, Dr. Luce.
Congratulations.
Arrived. She has arrived.
Good for you.
Okay, so one of her questions that we didn't get to was scheduling. How do you schedule your vacation and time away from the office? How do you do that?
Poorly.
Oh, no.
Very poorly. You know, we always schedule Christmas. Mm-hmm. We take time off at Christmas. So that's a gimme. And then the other times, well, like, was it last year? Was it last summer that we went together with you?
Mm-hmm. In May.
Yeah. So most of it is just random, and we don't really do a good job of planning the year out. So I'm terrible at that because I really like being at work. Mm-hmm. I really hate being gone. So that's terrible. That, for your listeners, don't develop that kind of work ethic because it's just nuts. So we just do a really poor job. We do a good job of scheduling at Christmas, and then we try to find a week or two that works for our family.
Yeah.
So it's about 2 or 3 weeks a year that I'll be off. And it used to be that your mom and I would go to a lot of continuing ed, so that kind of counted as our vacation time. So we did that a lot in Vegas. Not a gambler, but we just loved Vegas and all the shows. So how do your other
I feel like this is the hardest part because we either have, I feel like probably the majority of my clients fall to where they don't plan in advance enough.
We're terrible, yeah.
Yeah, and I tend to...
to say
because we're opposite. Yeah,
right?
I'm like, why is that not? Why are we not thinking at least 6 months in advance? Let's not move patients if we don't have to. And I think sometimes, to the point that you made earlier, sometimes if we don't block those times, we just never take them.
Yeah.
So I'll sit with many clients that are, man, they're dragging mid-year, and they're like, what was I thinking, not putting this on the schedule? So I think I just see the dark side of not, pre-planning it. But sometimes it's hard, that not everything is 6 months in advance planned. So,
well, and it's that challenge also that you've laid a goal out, a financial goal or a monthly goal, and you're like, how can I take a week off and still reach that financial goal? Yeah. I know in theory, okay, then we crunch it all into 3 weeks. I know. You and I are different.
Yeah. Well, and
so bottom line is, we do a terrible job.
Well, and I think too that I always say it doesn't always have to be a week. I think we often think vacations in weeks, but to me, sometimes it's a Thursday, Friday, Monday.
Right.
And that's long enough to get a little break. And
that's probably better because for my personality, really about 3 days, and I'm ready to be back at work.
Yeah.
Drives your mother crazy. Thankfully, she has friends and sisters-in-laws that'll take trips with her, but really I'm done after like 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have several clients that say that.
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
But I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy working, so I don't. It's hard on the family. It's not hard on me. It's hard on your mom. You jerk. You will not take any time to be with me.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
What do you do? The other part of Dr. Luce's question is, who manages the office in your absence, specifically when you're out of town? How do you handle emergency calls?
So, fortunately, in Arkansas, the hygienist can continue. And that was a struggle years ago, because if I was gone, there was no production. Zero. At least my hygienist now can continue. Of course, there's limits with that, but they can pretty much continue. I'm fortunate enough to have some dental assistants that can re-cement crowns for me, work on dentures, work on partials, those types of things, to deliver Invisalign. So some of that can continue. But if we need another dentist, I'm in a town with 6 other dentists, and we all seem to get along okay. And most of us, of the 6 or 7 of us, 3 of us are about 70-ish. So, it used to be when I was younger, I didn't want anybody to, again, it goes back to that self-preservation. I didn't want anyone else to see my dentistry and compare my dentistry to them, or my patient liked them better than they liked me, and they're gone. I should have stayed and worked because I lost that patient. But now at this age, we've talked. I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm just going to be the best dentist that I can be. And some people I'm just going to tick off. They just do not like me. We just had one recently, And it used to be, and this just comes with age for your listeners, it would drive me crazy.
To not be liked by that.
Why doesn't everyone like me? And some of those people I went to church with. What's wrong with you people? We all love God. You should love me as much as you love God. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'm to the point where I still can like them. I understand. I'm not for everybody.
Yeah.
And there are certainly other dentists in my town that are probably clinically better than I am. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. So I'm okay with being gone 1 or 2 days.
Max of 3.
If somebody needs a dentist and my staff can't do it, we'll refer. And every once in a while you lose one. They're like gone. They're like, man, I really did like that other dentist. Thanks for referring him.
You're like, oh man. But at the same time, it's like, there's only so much control you can have.
There is.
When you're out of town. So.
Yeah. And according to you, you've got to take some time off.
You got to take some time off. A maximum of 3 days.
You're still
apparently.
working on your dad.
Now everybody knows why I'm so passionate about this subject.
And according to you, during those 3 days, I really should probably be seeing a psychologist, right?
Yes. We've known that for a long time. The other question she had is, this is under the topic of money. What is something you bought or spent money on that you wish you hadn't?
Is this for the office?
I saw that look of there are no regrets.
Your mother can come up with a few things
So
through
we
the
should
years.
have invited her in on this.
No, I'm glad we didn't. I think one of the things that ended up, and it was not the product, it was just the product in my hands, but I bought a Waterlays laser, $100,000 years ago. Now you can get a great one for $2,000 or $3,000. But I thought I was going to do a lot of operative dentistry with it. The thing was you can use this laser and not anesthetize and da-da-da. And it just took so long to remove tooth structure. anyway, that was $100,000. That, and I think lasers are great, and our hygienists have lasers that they use for soft tissue work. But that $100,000 laser is sitting in my office, and it's So if anybody wants a great buy for 2023,
let's change this around. That was the best investment.
That was great. Well, no, really, it was my hands.
Yeah.
Because we're so busy, I thought I can't take the time to do this prep when I could do it in 30 seconds with a handpiece. It's like when E4D came out. I think it was a Patterson product. First scanners, a milling machine, and it was like at that time $125,000. I think a great product, but we kept it for about 2 months, and then I begged my rep to take it back because I realized that probably for 6 months to a year, we were going to be producing crap because we were designing them, and our temporaries looked better than our product that we produced with E4D. So all I could think of is, for all these that we're in this learning curve doing, I'm going to end up redoing every one of these. So again, a good product, but in our office, it just didn't work. So that
I think you're making such a valid point, because I think clients ask me all the time about technology, and there is this slowdown.
Oh yeah,
that has to happen. I was teaching in a seminar, and they were talking about BioLace, I think. And one of the doctors in the crowd, there's a bunch of people asking questions about BioLace to a doctor that uses it almost for 90% of her operative. And one of the doctors in the crowd raised his hand and said, I do want it. He said, I have BioLace, do a ton of my operative, with BioLace. However, I had to slow down substantially. To fully incorporate it into my practice, I really had to slow down and take my time. And then once I got a really good feel for it and perfected the art of it, then I was able to ramp back up, and it ended up being more efficient.
Right.
But I thought that was really good advice, and I feel like it's the advice you're making right now, which is if you've got a practice that cannot slow down.
I know it.
It is, you got to be careful with the technology that you incorporate. If it's something that's going to slow down a very productive aspect of your practice and you just can't slow it down, you got to ask the question then, is it worth it?
Yeah. Because then you'll have $100,000 piece of equipment that your wife will never let you forget that you purchased.
Which is, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
No,
that's just not worth it.
It's not worth
Don't do it. Do not do it. But really, those are good products, and that's a good point. I just couldn't figure out how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think you've always had a busy practice, so you didn't have the time to have months of, unfortunately, lower production. I had a client that very large practice, multi-doctor practice, and they had wanted to pull in the in-house crowns for years.
Yeah.
It had been on their radar. They had the scanner for it. It was just the milling machine, and very productive practice. And we talked about it a lot, and they finally bit the bullet, and we knew there's going to be a production dip because of this. Because even though it's done in-house, it changes the schedule completely. So we went from these 1 hour across 4 docks, these 1 hour, hour and 20-minute crown blocks to 2 hours, and you think, well, gosh, by the time you add that all up, we could have sent it off to a lab, gotten the patient back, and we would have come out with less time on this crown. Now, almost a year later.
Now they're rocking it.
Now they're rocking it. But there was this adjustment, I would say multi-levels of adjustment.
Right.
Because when you first get that machine in and everybody's got to learn it, and there's just such a slowdown, so many, wrinkles to iron out, eventually you scale back up. But it does hit
there's
your
a
practice.
there's a lot of stress with the learning curve, and then with the financial impact of it. So yeah, you just got to be ready to do that and realize it's a long-term commitment. But again, I think once you nail it, it was probably worth it. But
And I think to that point, if you know that anytime we know there's going to be a slowdown in the practice for whatever reason, doctor's going to have a baby, there's going to be a temp doctor in, we're slowing down, we're incorporating new technology, we're going to have to slow down for it, financially prepare for that.
right,
Build as much time as you need to build that saving account up so that you're not super stressed.
extra stressed.
Yeah, so I think plan for that.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion.
And then what is something that you did for yourself in the beginning of your practicing career to save money? And is there anything that you still do yourself to cut costs?
Well, initially I started out with my uncle. So I was an associate for my uncle for 3 years. And then when I went into practice for myself, we saved money, your mom. So that's how we saved money initially. Your mom was the front desk person and my dental assistant. So it was so there was no cost there. And so as I probably would not suggest that to anyone else. It was stressful, but it's what we had to do. So for new guys and gals just starting out, if you've got a mate that can help you at no cost, and you like them, and Bethany says it's okay, you might look at that. Of course.
And sometimes it's not a spouse. Sometimes it's a sibling,
a brother, or a sister, or
aunt.
a mother, or
You do what you can to staff it initially, and that's very common.
Yeah. And of course, we always try to monitor or control lab costs. So in your area, I would shop around and just see who will give you the best prices. Because they're probably all about the same, efficient wise and proficiency. And so I would have them fight for your business.
Yep.
And use that.
And that's usually one of the easier ways to cut some costs. Right. And again, anytime we're talking savings, I always say it comes down to cents.
Right.
Just pennies. It's not these massive cuts that there's usually not a massive area of cutting we can do.
I don't know. Do you have the ability to buy as a group? Is there?
So there are some CPA firms that when you're with them, so a couple that I know about, Kane Waters, a prominent dental CPA firm, they have a group buying power.
Okay.
So when you're a part of their firm, then you get some of these discounts.
Yeah.
Moss Loose Womble has it on a muted level, lower level, but they've still got, this kind of buying power. So I think it depends on who you're affiliated with. Yeah. And it's worth asking, even if you don't have one of these firms that I mentioned, it's worth asking the people you are affiliated with, how can I get in on some of this group buying power? Because you never know. It could be the dental supply company that you work with has some type of, loyalty or buyer program or something like that.
I think you just have to ask. Because that's a great, if you can get in with one of those groups or with that buying power, it just reduces it a lot.
It really does.
Tough with staff to really...
It's so hard to save there.
Yeah.
The only things that I really encourage my clients to be mindful of is overtime.
Yeah.
Overtime can get really expensive. And so, watching that a little bit more closely than we might, especially when things are tight. But in all honesty, there's not much from anymore
We found we saved a lot by asking them to bring their own toilet paper.
Yeah, hey.
You know, you got to do what you got to do. Either do those things at home or bring your own toilet paper.
You know?
Because we're freaking cutting some costs around here.
Or go without.
Yeah.
Your choice.
Use a water pick. I don't know. But yeah, so it's hard. It's hard there. Of course, you know, there's just some things where you can't, like electricity and, you know, those type of things. So really, in my mind, the only places that you can make significant savings are your lab costs and supplies.
Oh.
Anything else?
I feel like those are the two main areas that tend to come up with cost savings. Sometimes there's elective spending that, you know, hey, I tend to bring in lunch a lot for the team, and you know, I can kind of either cut that or do cheaper things. You know, if my budget for team building is normally X amount of dollars, well, I'm going to get a little bit creative and instead, you know, try to cut that in half. And so I think things like that doesn't mean that we do away with those things, because I think they're really, team building is really important, but can we be creative with it and save a little bit? And again, it's pennies on the dollar. Is that really going to help?
Yeah. At the end of the year. Yeah.
It does.
Like one of the things that for me is let's say 3 days a week, I would stop by Walmart on the way and pick up stuff for the girls. Whatever it might be.
You would never do
food.
that. Yeah.
Just food. And the greatest thing happened is 3 of them had gastric bypasses, and the others have been taking this shot that's really for diabetics, but they're losing weight.
Oh, gosh.
It's been the greatest thing in the world. I saved so much money the last half a year. Because none of them can eat. The ones on gastric bypass, they get sick if they eat too much. And the ones on this shot just aren't hungry. So I hardly go to Walmart at all anymore.
Thank you, team, for this diet plan.
We made profit this year, and it's all due from me not going to Walmart.
Isn't that crazy how it adds up? Something so simple.
It really is. It, you know, drives your mother crazy, and I'm like, yeah, but I want the girls to be happy and full and satisfied,
and to know that I thought about them on the way to work.
Yeah.
Now you think about them by not providing it. So, okay. She also had, in your opinion, what are areas to save money and go with the bargain option versus paying for quality? So I know this, when it comes to dental supplies, this is so hard. Mm-hmm. Do you have any tips?
Well, we've just tried, because we're on a plan where we get discount, and so they're preferred products, and we pretty much try to go with preferred product, which is the cheaper, unless I just can't stand it. And some of that might be burrs, definitely endo stuff, but most everything else we've been able to adapt. Some of our Crown and Bridge temporary material we've learned to like. So we really do try to go with the preferred cheaper price, and it's just something that we just can't
stand. Yeah. I think, you know, we have to be willing to try. You know, we get really, and I know this with every client of mine, we get really committed to a certain product, and sometimes either A, we're not looking for other products because we're so committed to that one, or B, we're so scared to try it. Something, and so I think sometimes we miss some of those savings. I had a client recently that told me, he brought me into the storage room. He was like, look at this. Impression trays, the headrest covers, the impression material tips, just multiple different. And he was like, "Can you tell any difference?" I was like, "No, can't tell any difference. Why?" And he's like, "Amazon." And I was like, what? And, same exact product. And again, it wasn't half off, but it was like 15% less. Oh, yeah. And I was like, I had no clue, you know? So, and he had just gotten creative with what can I try? He was like, I started with the impression trays. I felt like that was the cheapest option to try. And once I saw, wow, it's the same exact thing, I was willing to try other things. And so I think it's just that willingness to just try.
We buy some things off of eBay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've forgotten, but I had a doctor friend several years ago was telling me about handpieces. So I'm not even sure where the handpieces come from, but we get like 20 handpieces for $400.
Wow.
Half of what you would.
Wow.
And the great thing about it is it's $20.
Yeah.
So if it gets to a point where it rattles or I don't think it's cutting,
gone.
It's $20.
You feel way, you're not worried about throwing that one in the trash.
The girls will say, oh, that one's, they can hear. They're like, oh, that one's gone. So that saved a lot. Now, do these $20 handpieces work as well as the $1,000 one? Mm-hmm. Probably not. But again, you adapt and learn to use it. So, but that's pretty good on Amazon. I don't think we've bought anything on Amazon. We're going to try that.
I never thought to look on Amazon. And I'm always encouraging my clients, price shop it.
Around.
And I love our dental supply reps out there. But sometimes just getting that information either confirms, great, we've got the lowest price with our supply person. Yeah. Or talk to them. Hey, I found it over at this place for this. Is there any way you can get? And they may say, I can't get that one, but I can save you $10 off of this one. And so sometimes just the research alone saves you something.
And some of your leaders will find it hard to ask. Mm-hmm. So find somebody on your team that'll do that for you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm so embarrassed to ask for it cheaper. But there's somebody on your team that'll like that challenge, and they don't have a problem.
Exactly.
Saying, can you do better?
Yeah.
And if you as the leader are not the person that can do that, that's okay. Again, you don't have to be perfect. Find the person on your team that loves doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Relieve that person that is dreading that, and the other person that's looking forward to the challenge is going to do a better job anyway. Yeah. So turn them loose.
I had a friend years ago, Rusty, that used to cut all of our hair, the boys' kids, Rusty. This guy was just, he would buy cars, and he would, from individuals, and he would make people so mad with his low offer, they would just demand that he get off their property. But I can remember one Christmas, this was when minks were really popular, so he was going to buy a mink for his wife at Christmas. These minks were normally, so this was like in the 80s, $5,000, but they had been on sale previously for like $2,900. So he went in and said, I want it for the $2,900. And they said, we can't. Long story short, at the end of the day, or at the end, however long this took, he left with that mink for $800. Because he did not mind ticking people off, climbing the ladder, doing whatever to get that price. Yeah. I would have said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let me give you $7,000 for that mink. I'm sorry.
For even asking.
You deserve more than that." So, but there's someone on my team. There's someone on your team that likes that challenge.
Yeah. So let them
challenge your dental supply person, because most of the time we have developed a relationship with a supply team member, and we find it challenging to say, can you help me out? Can you sell me something cheaper?
It really, when that relationship is there,
it's hard.
It's hard.
It's stinking hard, but you can save thousands of dollars, probably tens of thousands,
just by
being willing
doing some of that research and asking. And I think the point here is it doesn't have to be you, the practice owner, asking.
No.
It can tag in a team member and let them see what they can do,
Yeah.
Make it a challenge for them.
Yeah.
Let them earn off of some of that savings.
Right. Yeah. So what can you save me? I'll give you a percentage of that.
Yeah. That's, for the right person, that's a super motivating thing.
It's not hard for them at all.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. And even
I don't understand it, but it's fun.
It is. And even the team knowing what the budget is, sometimes that's eye-opening for team members just to know, what am I supposed to be spending? And maybe you as the practice owner doesn't know that, but somebody knows how much you should be spending on those supplies. And so even just, sometimes there doesn't even have to be a financial challenge. It can just be
an awareness.
We're overspending.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Can y'all figure it out? And I'm surprised how often in some of my teams, when we have a consistent monthly meeting that we put in place, my philosophy on monthly meetings is the team members should report to that meeting with the information that they're responsible for. And so usually the lead dental assistant is responsible for the supply budget. And it's surprising when I work with a doctor to set that budget, how often they come in at or below that. Remarkable.
Wow.
Because there's just an awareness. This is the expectation of me. Yeah. I've been allotted this amount of money. They don't even dream of spending past that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not there.
Yeah.
There's no budget for that. Yeah. I can't spend
That's
that.
That's true.
And so I think even that alone can be savings.
Right.
That we're not taking advantage of. So.
Yeah, because the dental assistant that's been doing that for me is leaving to start her own business, so someone else is going to have to be trained. But she's just always aware of where am I in the month. So that means I can buy this, but I can't. I'm going to have to wait a little bit. So if you're aware of what the budget is, if you've got a good person in there,
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know this is your favorite topic to end on, money, but
what do you want to know?
I did. I didn't ask the questions. Dr. Luce did, so we can once again thank her. But I feel like
ask your mother. Yeah, she's right outside the door.
Exactly. She'll have plenty to say on this subject. So, but no, I appreciate you, and Dr. Luce. Thank you once again for these great questions. They've been wonderful.
Congratulations again, Doc.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.